Hey guys, Wefas here and welcome to another card review. Today we're going to talk about some new cards that were released still at BlizzCon, and let's talk about the new cards right now. First one is the Auction Master Beardo. It's a neutral legendary. It's a free mana, free 4, and the text is after you cast a spell, refresh your hero power. Well, at first glance, this card is terrible, right? I mean, the stats pay for itself, but then again, the text is like, if you're a legendary card, you usually want to utilize the text, right? And this text is not very good for utilizing. First and foremost, it is viable with, say, the low cost spells, right? But what kind of classes play low cost spells? Rogue, and I guess maybe sometimes hunters or druids. Now these because rogues and druids have 0 mana spells, right? Like backstab, preparation, even with the counterfeit coin, etc, etc. But then again, why would this be useful, right? You're a rogue and you're gonna just keep re-equipping your weapon over and over again, unless you're playing Poison Blade, which could be a thing. It's kind of difficult for rogues to actually play this Auction Master Beardo properly. And then if you're talking about druids, well, sure, you can keep doing your shape-shifting, but the thing is, why would you want to do that, right? You want to spend you ramp up so that you want to spend your mana wisely, and this is not a wise way of spending mana. Unless, of course, you don't have enough cards to play, then maybe this might be it. But then again, it also forces you to cast spells, which is not good. So the only way I see this legendary working is that it works for Justicar Warrior. For example, you can tank up, and then you play shield block, and then you tank up again, and you get like tons of armor, and then Auction Master Beardo will pay for itself. Otherwise, it's simply just a free mana, free 4 that does nothing much. Even say hunters, they can only utilize this effect like how many times? Like maybe 2 times before he dies. And even then, hunters would rather play good minions with the mana you spent, instead of just, using the hero power, no matter how OP the hero power is. So yeah, Auction Master Beardo not so good. Next, we have Grookfu Master. This is a Wind Fury card that is actually playable. It's a 5 mana free 5 Wind Fury. I'm sorry. So basically 5 health, 3 damage. So basically it's 6/5, right? It's a 5 mana 6/5. And you want to compare it with, say, the Fromar Farseer, which is a 2 mana 2 free Wind Fury. Nobody plays that because he dies really quickly. Nobody plays the Wind Fury Harpy, which is a 6 mana 4/5, which nobody plays that because she dies really quickly. And of course, nobody plays the Grotesque Dragon Hawk because it's a 6 mana. No, was it 6 mana also? Okay, whatever. It's a 5/5 Wind Fury. Nobody plays that because it costs way too much, and it does nothing. It will die before you can Wind Fury twice, right? But for Grookfu Master, it's a 5 mana card, which means that if you play it on curve, it might not die, right? Unless you're facing, say, a mage or something, and maybe they might be able to clear it. And it's pretty good, because if you play it on curve, your opponent has to expend resources to kill it. So pretty much it's actually a taunt, right? It's something like what we can compare with, can also be compared to, say, Sludge Belcher, for example, without the sludge, obviously. But it's pretty much a soft taunt if you play it on curve, and it's quite sick. So yeah, I would recommend you to pick this card if you see it in Arena, and it's a decent card. In Constructed, sure, I guess you can sneak it in and cheese someone out, but yeah, don't count on it. Like, it's not that good of a card. I mean, all Wind Fury cards, Blizzard is really careful in making Wind Fury cards, because if they're too OP, then well, it breaks the game. So yeah, Grookfu Master, look forward to seeing some niche decks playing it, but don't see it too often. Alright, next we have another legendary. It's a rogue legendary this time, and it's Gude Collector. 3 mana, 2 free, stealth. Whenever this minion attacks, add a random card to your hand. Basically, you're gonna steal a card every time you attack. So basically, if you play Shaku, you most probably will be at least be able to grab 1 card. I don't know why you would want to do that, because if you're going to deal 2 damage and get 1 card, you might as well just play Undercity Huckster, right? You might as well, and Undercity Huckster only costs 2 mana instead of just 1, instead of 3 mana. So unless you're able to grab 2 cards, Shaku the Collector is just not good enough, right? Alright, of course the stealth component is good. However, why would you want to play stealth as a rogue? Usually you want to stealth other things like the auctioneer or your adventurer, right? You don't want to stealth like Shaku. It's like whatever. You just play Undercity Huckster, right? This is not good enough. This nowhere near good enough. Of course, it helps with the Ethereal Peddler synergy. If you feel like you want to play a deck that, you know, specializes in just keep stealing your opponent's cards, then you can include Shaku, but I don't see Shaku being played in competitive because everyone's playing Miracle now, and Shaku just doesn't fit in Miracle right now. Next, we have the Ally Armorsmith. It's a warrior card, 5 mana, 2/7. Really good, and it has taunt. So basically you want to compare this card with Mistress of Pain, because Mistress of Pain, when you attack, it heals. Wicker Flame, same thing. Tournament Medic because of the stats, and Armorsmith because it gives you armor when you attack, right? However, the other one that you want to think about is the 2/6 with taunt and rage. What's that called again? The Bloodhoof Brave, right? And Bloodhoof Brave is he only costs 4 mana. This one is a 5 mana, and you're paying 1 extra mana for 1 extra health. Yeah, actually I think this card is pretty good, simply because 7 health is something really difficult to deal with. If you play in Arena, you realize that Tournament Medics can be really difficult to deal with as well, and simply because it's a 1/8 and 8 health or 7 health, that's a lot of health to go through before the minion dies. So unless you're a priest and you have Shadowwood Pain, this is gonna stick on the board for a really long time. And to top that off, it has taunt. So basically it's a big wall that your opponent has to go through, and when he's doing that, when Ally Armorsmith is blocking for you, you're still gaining armor. And if you have an Armorsmith and an Ally Armorsmith, you just gain all the armor in the world. So it is actually really good card. And welcome, Taunt Warriors. Good job. Very good, Blizzard. You made another warrior archetype. It's not like warriors need more archetypes, am I right? They have dragons, they have pirates, they have control, they have Cthulhu, and now they have taunt. Good. Very good. Next. Alright, so the next few cards we're going to talk about is something I like to call future tempo cards. So the following cards will give cards in your hand a buff. For example, some of the cards that have been released earlier have this kind of effect, right? We have Mistcaller, which is a 6 mana 4/4, +1/+1 to every single minion card in your deck and your hand. And then we have Bolvar 4 Dragon, which also increases in the amount of attack based on the number of your minions dying. So basically, what do you think is the common factor between these two cards that I mentioned? The common factor is that these two cards are not played at all. They are future tempo cards, but people just don't play them. Why? I mean, Mistcaller, it's so good. It gives every single minion in your deck and your card in your hand +1/+1, but still nobody plays it. There must be a reason, and the reason is because future tempo cards are just way too conditional. I mean, even if Mistcaller is like 6 mana 4/4, it doesn't give you enough tempo right now for you to be able to milk the value in the future. So that's something that we have to discuss about, right? Do you value the future tempo, or do you want to get your tempo now and try and survive the game, especially in a meta game where everything moves so fast and tempo is king, right? So yeah, this is something we should discuss in the next few cards. Next, we have Trog Beast Rager, one of my first future tempo cards. It's a 2 mana free 2, vanilla stats are fine. And then the battle cry, give a random beast in your hand +1/+1. It is very conditional. The requirement is that you have a beast in your hand. So beast in your hand and random. So if you have a lot of beasts in your hand, you just have to hope and pray you get the right one buffed, right? So sometimes it might be good, sometimes it might not be good. It is possible for you to get a 7/6 high main, because a 7/6 high main is like insane, right? However, you just don't know which one and when you have beasts in your deck, right? Sometimes you just have a whole bunch of secrets and your secret keeper, and yeah, you just can't get value from the Trog Beast Rager. So it's really situational. I don't see future tempo being viable in hunters, unfortunately. I mean, you can still play this in arena as a vanilla free 2. However, not a good card, not even a beast. So next we have Stolen Goods. It's a 2 mana warrior spell that gives a random taunt minion in your hand +3/+3. And the requirements are that you need a taunt minion in your hand and it's randomly selected. So for this case, as warriors, most of the time you have, say, 1 or 2 taunt minions in your hand, so random, it might not be as random as you think, right? So if you have Bloodhoof Brave in your hand and you want to combo it with that, it's actually really good, right? A turn 6 combo into a 5/9 Bloodhoof Brave, sign me up for that. And yeah, the fact is, how does this so-called future tempo work in this case? Because it's a taunt minion, your future tempo can be played as a current tempo, right? It can be played something like usually you play your Bloodhoof Brave and then you rampage it, buff it with a rampage or something. Now in this case, you just simply buff it and then play it out. It's not much of a difference, simply because of Summoning Sickness, as well as the fact that it affects the board immediately, right? So in this case, this so-called future tempo can be played as current tempo, and therefore makes this card a good card. Next, we have Grime Street Outfitter. It's a 2 mana 1/1, so basically if you want to play Smork Paladins, this is the card for you. Okay, basically battle cry, give all minions plus in your hand +1/+1, and this is insane, alright? Giving all your minions, meaning if you grab a what's the other card called again? Small Time Recruits, right? If you grab Small Time Recruits and you pull out all your 1-cost minions, and then you play your Grime Street Outfitter, you get all your 1-cost minions to get +1/+1. It's really good, right? So the only requirements you have is you need is that your minions are in your hand, right? It doesn't give spells +1/+1, obviously, but most of the time if you're Paladin, you're gonna play a lot of minions. The only spells you have are things like Consecrate or Equality or Lay on Hands, for example. You don't really play a lot of spells as a Paladin unless they're buffing cards and board clear cards. So yeah, it makes this card really powerful, and is especially powerful in the arena. Just toss out your buffed cards. It's really good. Plus, because the minions that Paladins play usually are dealing with Divine Shields, this makes future tempo even better, simply because Divine Shield minions gain power with respect to the amount of stats they have. really good card. I like it a lot. 8 out of 10. Next we have Grime Street Smuggler. It's a hybrid card. Basically paladins, warriors and hunters can play this card. The only requirement is that they need a minion in your hand. It's a free mana 2/4. The stats are fine. However, giving a random minion in your hand +1/+1 might not be good enough for tempo play, especially if it's a future tempo play. Obviously you can still play it in say like a turn 4 or turn 6, and then you play this and then you combo it with something else. It makes it better. However, because it's only one minion and that it's random, sometimes you might not get the value you want. So it's quite risky. I mean, it's still a good card, however it's risky, and you should be able to play other better cards out there, especially if you're say a paladin or a warrior. You should have better cards to play. I mean, warriors, you already have Fierce Monkey, right? Why would you play Grime Street Smuggler? You won't do that. So yeah. Next, it's a Grime Street Enforcer. Okay, it's another paladin card. It's a 5 mana 4/4. Okay, compare this with Mistcaller, right? Mistcaller is 6 mana 4/4, give everything +1/+1. But for this one, it's a 5 mana 4/4, give all minions in your hand +1/+1. And I think this card is okay. It's kind of different simply because it's kind of late, right? You play it on turn 5. If you're gonna play aggro paladin, you might not want to play this card simply because you would have already emptied your hand beforehand. And if you're gonna play control, then perhaps you might be able to play this card. However, since you're playing control, you also play a lot of spells, which might be a problem. Of course, there are other control minions such as the follow the rules or the secrets, keep up Unaman. So of course it's still playable. I don't think it's that good. You can play it normally and see how much of value you want to milk. Usually you want to at least buff 2 minions for this to be worth its cost. So yeah, it's kind of situational, quite scary to play, and I'd rather you play the other one, the Grime Street Outfitter, right? This is much better. Yep. So that's all the new cards as of today. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please leave a like down below and leave a comment about which card you're most excited about. If you have any conflicting opinion, please also leave it in the comments so that we can discuss, because that's the fun of Hearthstone. We discuss cards and we can talk about strategies together. So yeah, please do leave a like and subscribe and share this video if you find it helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one. I love you guys. Bye bye.